out. Away we go. Pretty good start by Lister, and almost equally good start from Danny Andrew then as they head through turn number 1, and they're still sort of overlapping. Andrew's going to have the inside line for the banking, and he's going to go through to take the lead of the race, and as Josh says, that could be very important for the championship. As watch them head down towards Church. It is still Andrew ahead from from Lister in second. So Andrew from Lister, should say, then Eddie Moyer third, David Winter in fourth, Simon Court in fifth, and Samira Bid in 6th position. But Lister trying to get alongside on this run up towards Rocket, and Moyer's going to get him on the inside as well. Moyer's going to go through to take the lead if he gets the car stopped. He does about get the car stopped, but nevertheless Danny Andrew nips back through on the inside. So Andrew leads from Moyer and Lister then. So Lister back to third again. That could be important as the rain continues to come down fairly heavily now at Anglesey.
Yeah, I think Lister will have to beat Andrew to win it today, but even if he finishes just behind him, it means very little he'll need to do at Snetterton, really, where Danny Andrew needs really to score all the points, wins and fastest laps, which isn't going to be easy, especially on a track like Snetterton in these cars. So here they come at the end of one lap of racing. Danny Andrew leads, Eddie Moyer is second, third is Lister. So then there's a gap back to the next 3 as they go into turn 1, and it's Simon Court who leads that little pack. We haven't seen him quite at the sharp end today, so Simon Court there in 4th position. He'll be happy with that and looking to move forward further.
A couple of cars have tangled at the back of the field. I think one of them is Colin Marshall, and the other car is getting back out into the race. Was that Stephen Manley possibly in the number 74 car? It may well have been. They were towards the back of the field. Yes, it was Stephen Manley getting back out into the race. So there are the leaders, and there's the fight for 4th position. You've got David Winter, Simon Court and Ben Powney involved in this one. So Powney running in 6th place at the moment. Winter about fending off Simon Court there, who uses a bit of curb and goes through on the inside at the second part of Rocket. Winter might lose 2 places here because Powney has gone through as well as they head towards the next right-hander, which is at Peel, although Winter trying to run all the way around the outside there. Don't think that's going to quite work for him. It's picking Lucas Batt in the number 66 car into things as well. Here are the 3 leaders though. Still Andrew from Moyer and Lister.
Yeah, so really close up front. Danny Andrew not able to pull away like he was in the first part of race 1 before the safety car came out. Then the next group, Simon Court, as you say, got to the front of that once more. Ben Powney up next, who was the fastest driver in that earlier race. So he'll be hoping to move up the order a little bit. So we're in the 19s now. Where were we in the dry race earlier? As number 7 goes off, that's Daniel Court. It was a 1:17 earlier, wasn't it? So again, like the hot hatch, it was just a couple of seconds off. So there's almost as much grip as there was earlier. Perhaps not quite, though, full 100% grip.
Yep, and Daniel Court was out of his car, and so he is out of the race then. He finished 9th this morning. So
there's yellow flags here then?
Yes, yellow flags here there will be. So the 3 leaders heading into that part of the circuit, they see the yellow flags and respect them accordingly. I think the next 3 cars there sort of arrived abreast, but they've shuffled themselves back into an order. Simon Court, David Winter and Ben Powney for 4th, 5th and 6th. So they now should be back into green flag racing, I would think.
Not a great weekend for Daniel Court, who is 3rd in the championship. He hasn't really featured as high up as he is in the past, and obviously not finishing this race.
Down through the corkscrew goes Andrew with Lister, with Moyer and Lister in close proximity to him. There is quite a gap back though from 3rd to 4th. It was around about 2 seconds at the beginning of the lap. Moyer now is just in the best lap of the race at 1:19.36. But it was a similar lap time for Andrew, 1:19.54, 1:19.44 for Lister, so only a couple of tenths between them on that lap. Looks like Simon Court has made a bit of a break away from David Winter now. He's under pressure from Ben Powney, and Powney in turn has got Lucas Batt nibbling at his heels as they make their way through. Looks like the 2 leads are going to go side by side though as they head through the right-hand kink there up towards Rocket. It's Moyer who's going to be on the right-hand side, the outside of the circuit for the left-hander. Doesn't break as late as Andrew, I don't think. Possibly waiting for Andrew to outbrake himself, but he didn't do that. And so there's no change in the order for the moment.
Yeah, that's tricky to know where to brake up there because we know there's not perhaps as much grip as there was in this morning's race, but they're doing a good job at the moment. You would have noticed that the yellow flags have gone in, so we've got a full green flag racing circuit once more, and a great battle up front between Danny Andrew, Eddie Moyer and Jonathan Lisseter. Lisseter probably quite happy to sit there in third, although he could win the championship today. He's happy with the points, pick up more points. He's been on the podium in all but one race this season, and he's there in third place again in a podium position while the guys fight in front. And of course that's what he did earlier, wasn't it? Just sat behind them and waited for something to happen between the two of them, and he pounced as we got a car off. Is that David Winter?
It is David Winter, yeah, from 5th position, number 35. I'm just going to point out though, 1:18.55, so quite a few tenths of a second have been found there, so drivers gaining confidence in these conditions. There's still spots of rain on our commentary box window, but the track I think is pretty dry. The wind will be helping that, and it is very windy. Moyer and Andrew side by side. Moyer's got a wheel in front now. Lister's going to try and make it 3 wide, I think, up towards Rocket. Not sure that's going to work out for him. Andrew might well get back into the lead on the inside. He's now going to be on the outside line for Rocket out. So, no, it's Moyer that takes the lead of the race. Andrew is second and Lister is third. Andrew needs and wants this place back as soon as he possibly can get it. He's up the inside of his fellow Lincolnshire driver into Peel, and he goes back through into the lead. So Danny Andrew leads, the farmer from Lincolnshire Eddie Moyer in second, and Jonathan Lisseter is there in third place. It's furious stuff. Yeah,
big look up through the middle of the corkscrew there for Eddie Moyer. And although it's all named as one part, really each of the corners are a bit different, aren't they? You've got to adjust your line, do some braking as well. So that's a really interesting part of the circuit, and really with nothing else like that here in the UK, great to see. But John Lisseter there, still in third place here, and just kind of watching what the guys in front are doing.
Yeah, which is what he did in the earlier race, isn't it? And he pounced on the last lap to go from third to first after a safety car period. Maybe he's thinking that a late move might be the one that is well calculated once again, as Moyer tries to do exactly what he did on the last lap and get alongside Danny Andrew and up the inside for Rocket. But no, this time it doesn't work out for him. This might be a carbon copy because he might go around the outside of Andrew, but no, this time it doesn't work. So Andrew holds on for the moment from Moyer, and then Lisseter there in third place. He's won the other races this weekend. He's 41 years of age from Kingston. Originally senior technical coordinator, started racing in cars in 2019, had some success in low cost, but he's been there in the Ma7da 7s for the past few seasons now in this car prepared by TSR, originally built by Richard Bradley.
Halfway through the race then, as we come up across the line, with Andrew leading the way, as he has done I think most of the weekend, but he hasn't won a race yet. And he would quite like those guys behind to battle. Ben Powney's up to fourth, and he's the fastest person on the track, and he's into the 17s like we were earlier. So with perhaps the rain has now stopped and the track is back up to where it should be, but Powney is 3 seconds behind the leaders, so he'll have a big task on his hands if he's going to catch them. Lisseter's got a good run here out the Church corner. He's in the toe of Eddie Moyer, and he elects not to pull out of the toe, I don't think. He's happy just to sit there behind them, like he has been all day, really. And the leader's gone on, the leader's gone straight on. Danny Andrews gone off the road, and he's lost the 2 positions. He had started to pull a gap, but trying too hard perhaps to pull away and break the toe. So Eddie Moyer is our new leader. Jonathan Lisseter is second, and down to third for Danny Andrew, and he's behind Jonathan Lisseter, and we know that's an important part of this race.
Yes, in terms of the championship being wrapped up today rather than at Snetterton. So it is the 77 car leading, turning its way now through the left-hander. That is Eddie Moyer from Jonathan Lisseter in second place. And now the 74 car has stopped, hasn't it? So that's the Stephen Manley car. He was in 14th position. So that was actually at the exit of Target Turn 1, where he'd been off previously, and it looks like he's going to try to resume between the banking and Church corner as well. And Callum Barnes, I can see, is going slowly as well in the number 3 car. That's pulling off. That's going to pull by the Marshall's post 2. for target as well. So he's had some dramas as well. This race, though, continues with 5 minutes to go, and here is the battle for the lead.
Yeah, and Danny Andrews side by side with his championship rival John Liceta here, but Jonathan Liceta hangs on in second place, and Moyer leads. We've seen both Moyer and Andrew run straight on at the rocket corner there over the weekend. I don't think Jonathan Liceta has done that, has he? He's been able to pick his braking zone consistently over the 3 races, it seems. 5 minutes of it to go. Ben Powney is getting closer. He was 3 seconds behind. He's now 2. There he is in the orange car. This is much better, isn't it? Because it's been a problematic weekend for him, really, with a retirement yesterday. He got the fastest lap earlier, but finished a bit further back. Some battles a bit further back there, we could see David Bowen and Lewis Penstone-Smith. There is Callum Barnes, who we mentioned had those problems at the start of the previous lap. And what happened to Danny Andrew here? Because he's fallen further behind Jonathan Liceta.
And almost to the clutches of Ben Powney, hasn't he? So what was the lap times for them that time through? Andrew did a 1:19.76, Powney did a 1:18.78, so he gained a second on him. The gap between them 3/4 of a second at the start of this lap. This is lap 9 of the race, and it's now Moyer and Liceta, with Moyer with that damaged right front wheel arch there.
There's damage for Andrew.
And there's damage for Danny Andrew. I think that's a wheel arch as well, isn't it? That's rubbing on the tyre by the looks of it. He's lost the position to Ben Powney, and so this problem might well cost him the championship pool. At least it being decided to say there. You can see the wheel arch is askew.
And put rubbing on the tyre, which is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, and that is the issue, I would think. Didn't see how that was initiated, but look at this. Ben Powney here, he could be in contention for a win. I think there'll be 3 more laps to go at the end of this one, but I think Andrew probably is out of contention now, and he was frustrated after race 2. I should think he'll be even more annoyed after race 3, the way this has gone.
That's right, and Ben Powney's right up behind his teammate now, Jonathan Liceta, as they turn into turn 1 with probably 3 laps to go. Can Powney do this? Remember, he was at least 3 seconds behind early on, and he has a look down the inside of Liceta. He's only won at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit. He hasn't won anywhere else over the course of the year.
Yeah, and so far this weekend he's sort of flattered to deceive, really, hasn't he? He's not really shown too strongly, but here he is now. He's challenging Liceta, not too far behind Eddie Moyer as well, with 2 more laps to go at the end of this one. You sense that Liceta's turned a bit defensive here, because he's losing ground to Moyer now, trying to keep his teammate Ben Powney at bay as they climb up to the top of the hill, and Powney goes through at Rocket. So Powney goes up to 2nd place, and down to 3rd goes Jonathan Liceta. Actually, with all 3 TSR cars, these, aren't they, as they make their way towards Peel. So Ben Powney about 3 car lengths behind Eddie Moyer. Can he get what would be, I think, a surprise win based on what we've seen earlier on during the course of the weekend?
Rain spots appearing on our lens, the camera there, as well as on our commentary box window once more. Yeah, Powney's right there with Moyer. This is, as you say, been a really good drive in what have been a little bit questionable conditions, although not bad conditions, but certainly with that question mark. 2 laps to go, and he spun it! Oh, Ben Powney, we've been talking him up. He's done a full 360, found a gear, and hasn't lost overly many positions.
Yeah, just lost the 1 place, hasn't he, to Liceta, but his hopes of victory have now gone with 2 laps to go. I was just going to say that the lap times are simply a couple of seconds off what they were doing earlier on in the race now, so they are getting more difficult as the race goes on. Not ideal weather coming in for the Club Enduro race that's coming up in a few minutes' time. It looks like this is pretty much sorted out now with all of that going on. Eddie Moyer's going to win this. I think it's going to be Jonathan Liceta 2nd and Ben Powney 3rd. But Danny Andrew may not get 4th place here, but Simon Court did not want to do that. He did not want to go off onto the grass. He's got back onto the circuit though. That's a real problem now. If that wheel arch just dislodged, it would probably be okay for Danny Andrew. But at the moment, that tyre is going to be completely spent, isn't it, come the end of this race?
Well, the other problem, if it goes completely under the tyre and gets stuck there, he won't have any real braking ability, which would be a real issue here. So, I don't know, it could work either way. But it doesn't seem to want to shift, does it? Which is
oh, it's gone. It's gone, just as you said that. A sort of commentator's curse in reverse. So it's gone. So Andrew now probably will be in a slightly better position than he was, but he's got Simon Court and Lucas Batt and Samir Abid right behind him. As very shortly we're going to see the last lap board be shown. Yes, that's shown now to the race leader Eddie Moyer then, who's going to look for his 2nd victory of the season, to add to the one that he had at Silverstone last time out.
Yes, so he's been quick all year, hasn't he? But this has been a good drive because he's the one that's not made the mistakes. We've seen the mistake from Danny Andrew. He's got Ben Powney to spin. I don't know if Jonathan Lister might know here just be driving for the championship. Not sure if he's done those calculations. I didn't think of it until just a moment before the race. Thinking, oh, he might be able to wrap this up here, and it was possible. And what has been a really good weekend for him because he's won the 2 races before this one, and he's running second here, doing all he needs to, I reckon, to claim the championship. So what a year it has been for him. Danny Andrew might not even finish in 4th place. Was there a touch there between he and Simon Court? They're all struggling to stop. Andrew's gone off again. He did that earlier. So yeah, he's losing positions. So even more, it puts Jonathan Lister in that position where he will be the 2022 champion, so beating the champion from last year.
So Simon Court goes into 4th place. Danny Andrew is 5th. He's just managed to keep Lucas Batt at bay. Ma7da Bid is there as well. Meanwhile, the leaders just heading through the corkscrew for the final time. And up to the line is going to come Eddie Moore to take the checkered flag and win the 3rd and final race of the weekend for the Ma7da. He is over the moon with that result. Jonathan Lister, though, takes 2nd place, and provisionally then he is the 2022 Yokohama Ma7da champion. He beats Ben Powney only by a 10th or so in the end. Danny Andrew comes across the line, yes, in 5th place. Simon Court was 4th, number 55. 5th, number 27, Danny Andrew. 6th was number 66, Lucas Batt. And 7th was number 23, Ma7da Bid. Then there was another gap back to number 99, Martin Shelton. 35, David Winter, who had a spin earlier on, didn't he? And Michael Jacobs, number 188, rounding out the top 10.